Okay, today we're going to find the percent of change. So we're going to be looking at increase or decrease problems. So let's just take a look at these vocab words first. So what does it mean when something is increasing? So think about where you've heard that, different things that are increasing, gas prices, if they're increasing. Okay, what does that mean? So it means if something is going up, or it's a number that's getting bigger. Okay, and then we have decreasing. If the price of something is decreasing, that means it's going down, or it's getting smaller. Okay, and then today you'll know if you have an increase or decreasing by looking if it's positive or negative, right? So an increase indicates a positive number, and then a decrease is going to be indicated by a negative. Okay, so the good news is today's is very similar to what we've been doing, and we're going to connect it to the way we've already been working with percents. So finding percent increase or decrease is very similar to markup and discount problems. The main difference is that we're always going to be finding a percent. So in some ways it's easier because when you're setting up the problem, it's always going to be the percent that we're looking for. But we just need to make sure we put the other ones in the right spot. So we're going to look at these and see if we can find some patterns. So we need to find how much the percent changes from 100%. So the original is that 100%. And then we're going to state if it's an increase or decrease and round to the nearest hundredth. So here's an example. It says the crack in the earthquake fault went from 5 inches to 8 inches. So we need to set it up the same way. Notice we have two numbers in this one and we have no percent. So we're finding a percent. We just need to make sure we get the other numbers in the correct place or we're going to get the wrong answer. So this is going to be the same thing that we've used before. Blank is blank percent of blank, and we need to make sure the new number goes first and the old or original goes in that last blank. So I like to think, okay, 5 to 8 inches. Another thing is I should know before I even start if this is an increase or decrease problem, because okay, it started at 5 and it went up to 8. So obviously I have an increase problem. So we'll see if when we're done if we got it to be an increase. So our 5 is our original or our old. Okay, and then it moved to 8 inches, so that is our new. So make sure, some people think, okay, it's the same, they try to find a pattern, think it always goes in that order. No, read the problem and make sure. So the new goes here, 8 is, and percent is what we're finding, so we'll use P for percent of 5. The old or original goes there. Okay, and now we can set up our equation. 8 is equals P percent of 5. Okay, so there is our equation, and now we're going to solve it. So we need to get P by itself, so we need to divide by 5. Go ahead and just put that in your calculator. Make sure you put that 8 first. 8 divided by 5, and you get 1.6. Okay, this is not in a percent yet, so we need to change it by moving it to decimal places. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, and that will make it 160%. Okay, but I'm not done yet because the old amount is always going to correspond to that 100%, that original. So we need to take the new percent and we need to subtract 100, that original 100% of what it was originally. So we're going to take 160% minus 100, and I get 60. Since I got a positive number at the end, this is positive 60, I know that it is an increase, which is what I thought to begin with. I thought, okay, I'm going to get an increase, and so we were correct. So the fault line increased by 60% from the original, right? Okay, so here's some general rules to just keep in mind, and we're going to do a few more examples, so don't worry. The new amount is always going to be a percentage of the old amount. So it sounds like markup and discount, it's very similar. Okay, so we're always comparing answers to 100% of the old amount. This means we always have to do some sort of subtraction. Okay, to find the change. And in this method, we always do the subtraction at the end. The thing about these percentage problems, there's actually lots of ways we can solve it, but we're sticking to the way that we've been practicing, so there's just one way we have to remember, but there's definitely lots of ways that we can solve this. And then the last thing is the sign of the percent after we subtract will confirm the increase or the decrease. So if I get a positive answer at the end, that tells us that it was an increase, and if we get a negative number at the end, that tells us that it was a decrease. So let's go ahead and look at these three problems and set them up. So example 2, find how much the percent changes from 100%, so that's that original, and state if it is an increase or decrease. Round appropriately. So we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. So it says it went from 45 quarts to 8 quarts. So make sure you know which one is the new and which one is the old. So what I started with is the old. What I ended up with is the new. So then I'm going to set up my frame of blank is blank percent of blank. Make sure in the first blank is the new, and in the last one it is the old. And these are nice because we're trying to find out the percent, so we're just going to put P here. So 8 is what we ended with, so that goes there, and then what we started with goes here. Now if I'm looking at this 45 to 8, I know it went down, so that is a decrease. So I know I should get a decrease as my answer. So here's my equation. 8 is P percent of 45. Okay, then we're just going to solve this. So divide by 45 to solve, and put that in my calculator. 8, we put that in first, it means 8 divided by 45. Okay, I get point. Okay, I want to write at least probably 5 numbers out because I'm going to need at least to the 100th place. So I'm going to move it 2 places. Okay, and since I'm rounding to this one, 0.7 makes it round up, so it's going to be 17.78%. I need to move my decimal 2 spots in order to get my percent. Okay, now wait, I'm not done. I have to subtract that 100% because we're seeing what it changed from the original. So I take 17.78 minus 100. Okay, and if it's one that's harder to do in our head, we can definitely put that in our calculator. Minus 100. Okay, we get negative 82.22. So that negative lets us know it is a decrease. So we're going to say 82.22% decrease. Okay, if I put a negative and the word decrease, that's going to cancel it out. So make sure you take your answer and then just write the word decrease. Okay, let's look at the next one. So from $457 to $1,000. So here's the old price and then it went up to $1,000. That's our new. So to set it up, we start with the new. 1,000 is P% of our original $457. Okay, set up our equation. 1,000 equals P%, so P times 457. Now we're going to solve it, so it's being multiplied, so we divide. And I'm going to put it in my calculator. 1,000, it means 1,000 divided by 457. So make sure you put that 1,000 in first. And I get 2.18818. I might have written too many, but it doesn't matter. You can't have too many. Okay, we're going to move it 2 places. 1, 2. 218.8. Oh, I didn't write too many. So this is going to round to a 2. Okay, that is my percent. Now I need to subtract that 100%, that original, and I get 118.82%. It's positive, so we know it is an increase. Okay, so that price increased 118.82%. Okay, the last one, 25 discs to 22 discs. So think, so it went from here, 25, that's my old, to 22 is my new. So we always put the new first. 22 is P% of the old 25. Okay, we're comparing it to that original price. So we're going to write our equation. 22 equals P% of means multiply, so I'm going to multiply it. Okay, now I'm going to solve my equation. So it's being multiplied by 25. The inverse is to divide. Okay, this cancels out. Put it in my calculator. 22 divided by 25.88. Okay, don't forget to move your decimal 2 spots. 1, 2. 88%. And then we need to minus 100. That original. And we get negative 12%. So since it's negative, that is a decrease. So we can say it was a 12% decrease. And once again, if I look up here and it went from 25 down to 22, before I even start my problem, I know it's going to be a decrease because it went down. The amount went down. Okay, go ahead and fill out your self-assessment, and that's just part 1 of the notes for today.